Hi, I'm NASA astronaut Mike Good of the STS-132 crew, and you're watching NASA TV.
Good morning, Atlantis, and a special good morning to you today, Mike.
Hey, good morning, Houston. That was a great way to wake up. Thanks to Matt Rudman for that song and Matt Walton for helping to put all those together for me, help me pick out my wake-up song. And good morning to my family. It was great to be outside again with Garrett on an EVA yesterday. We had a great time. The whole team did a great job, and we're just having a great time up here.
This is Mission Control Houston. You're looking at a view inside the Space Shuttle Atlantis payload bay. Atlantis is in a daytime orbit, but it's crossing over into a nighttime orbit very soon. It is out over the northern Pacific Ocean on an orbit that's going to take it just to the very west of California and Mexico, and then down over the very tip of South America. The space shuttle is 220 miles above the Earth at this time, and the crew members on board Atlantis, the 6-member crew, are awake. They were awakened this morning at 12:20 a.m. Central Time. This is Mission Control Houston. You're looking at the Japanese Kabo module along with the space shuttle robotic arm. Today that robotic arm will be used to move that carrier, cargo carrier back into the payload bay of Atlantis.
The integrated cargo carrier has now been released from the payload ORU accommodation, which is basically a docking port on the station's mobile base system. The integrated cargo carrier uniquely designed to carry orbital replacement units to the International Space Station. It can be removed from the shuttle's payload bay and temporarily stowed on the outside the station. It can also remain on the robotic arm and moved to various work sites so that it provides easy access for astronauts performing maintenance tasks on the outside of the complex. And the station's robotic arm under control of astronaut Piers Sellers, stationed in the cupola at the robotic workstation, and process of relocating the integrated cargo carrier to Atlantis' payload bay.
Station Houston, Space Ground 2 for Tracy.
And the integrated cargo carrier on the end of the station's robotic arm now at what's known as the high hover position above the location where it will be stowed in Atlantis' payload bay for the remainder of the flight. Atlantis is slated to undock from the International Space Station Sunday morning shortly after 10 a.m. Crew setting up the split screen to be able to watch as the ICC, the integrated cargo carrier, is lowered into its latches. The payload retention latch assemblies, known as PERLAs, will be closed to secure the ICC in the payload bay as it has completed its mission to deliver a new set of batteries to the International Space Station. And the integrated cargo carrier being guided into its payload retention latch assemblies. Mechanical systems officer here in the shuttle flight control room reporting ready to latch indications on all 4 payload retention latch assemblies.
You have 4 gray talkbacks. When is cupola copies? Good news. And cupola will be ready to pick up in step 10 when you're ready. Okay, we are ready. You have a go for ICC, AKA, and aft latches. Okay, that's in work.
Garrett Reisman and Tony Antonelli talking to one another. Tony Antonelli on the shuttle. He's the pilot of STS-132. Garrett Reisman over in the cupola of the International Space Station. You see in the far distance in this view looking straight up out of the payload bay as the go has been given to close the latches, the 4 latches around the trunnion pins of the integrated cargo carrier.
Atlantis and Houston. Tony, you've got to go to do the forward latches.
Atlantis copies, forward latches in work.
Houston copies and concur.
And Houston from the airlock on space to ground 2.
Go ahead, Hot.
Yeah, procedure 3.103. That's the nitrogen transfer term. I'm complete through 5.2, and I think that's everything for me.
And Hawk, we concur. We'll put the remaining steps in work. Thank you.
Thank you.
And cupola from Atlantis on the big loop. We're completely latched. You have a go for ICC release.
Copy. And our next step is safing.
And Houston copies.
Arm is safed, and we're going to be looking at step 15.
Copy, step 15.
And Houston, ISS Robo, could you do the ICC release step 15 for us? 15.1.
And Piers will put 15.1 in work.
That call a moment ago from pilot Tony Antonelli aboard Atlantis,
Copy.
indicating the integrated cargo carrier is latched back in Atlantis' payload bay. That call coming at 4:50 a.m. Central Time, 7 days, 15 hours, 30 minutes into Atlantis' mission to the International Space Station. The job of the integrated cargo carrier is complete.
Robo guys have finished their task, and then we have Tony with me to start the procedure later.
Okay, we copy. Thanks for the heads up.
An orbital sunset breaking over Space Shuttle Atlantis and the International Space Station as the complex tracks just to the northeast of New Guinea.
I've been practicing that one.
Atlantis ISS, this is Houston ACR. Please stand by for the NASA Explorer School questions.
My name is Evan, and I go to John B. Cary in Richmond, Virginia. I would like to know, why do you wear the orange suits?
Well, the purple ones kind of clash with my eyes. I think I look a lot better in orange. Actually, the orange color is for make us more visible in case people need to find us. And the reason we wear the suits is to protect us in the event that something happens that we're not expecting, going either uphill or downhill.
My name is Chynna Boyles, and I go to Forest Heights Elementary School in Columbia, South Carolina. I would like to know, what are differences in living in the space station from living in your home on Earth?
Well, Chynna, that's a good question. I can tell you, for starters, nothing stays where you put it. Everything floats, including yourself, your food, your clothes, everything that you're working on. So you have to strap everything down. You can't lay it down on the table, and you can't keep your eyes off of it unless it's Velcroed to the wall.
Hi, my name is Samantha, and I go to Dr. Rodriguez Elementary in Harlingen, Texas. I would like to know, what is the best part of your job?
Hey, great question. There's a lot of really great parts about the job. Being up here floating turns out to be amazingly fun, and you can see a couple of my crewmates here upside down. And then the other great part is looking out the window. The views looking down at the Earth are just fantastic from up here.
Hi, I'm Kahliya, and I'm in the 6th grade at Hobgood Elementary in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. My question is, what do you do in your free time, and how much free time do you get?
What I like to do is to look out the window and watch the Earth go by. It's just beautiful. We don't get any free time, so I have to steal it from the boss. Pretty much. But I think everybody does that. When they get a moment off, they kind of look out the window and just see the whole world go by. It's like a geography lesson. It's fantastic.
Hi, my name is Yvette. I am a 4th grader in Harlingen, Texas. I am bilingual, and I was wondering how many languages you need to speak to work on the International Space Station.
I don't speak any.
Yeah, I think I think we all agree that's a pretty good question. Well, the official main language on the space station, one that we all understand, is English. However, it's very essential that you learn Russian as well, since we tend to operate in the Soyuz, or we do operate in the Soyuz spacecraft solely in Russian. But we have a lot of talented, very bright people on board, and some of them know several languages, such as Japanese. Got Soichi on board, and French, German. TJ knows German, so it's when you have an international space station, it's almost endless, the languages that could come in handy.
My name is Paige, and I go to Lebanon Middle School in Lebanon, Kentucky. My question is, what does it feel like after being on the space station when you come back to Earth?
I can answer that.
That's right. That's on.
Well, when you come back to Earth, things feel really, really heavy. I remember taking off my helmet and feeling like I was holding a pickup truck in my hand. It felt so incredibly. I was like, oh my goodness, how am I ever going to brush my teeth? My toothbrush is going to feel like a ton of bricks. But turns out that you get really used to gravity again pretty quickly, within like an hour or so. And after it takes a little while for you to get all your senses back, and they won't let you drive a car usually for about a month. But other than that, after about a month, you're pretty much 100%.
My name is Antonio, and I go to Ochoa Learning Center in Cudahy, California. And my question is there wind in space? If so, what causes it?
Hey, well, we're going very, very fast up here, 5 miles per second, but we're out of the atmosphere. But there's a little bit of atmosphere left there, so there are a few atoms, I guess, hitting the front of station at 5 miles per second. So that's a very weak wind, but it's enough to slow the space station down and make it slowly fall back to Earth. So every so often we have to boost it back up again using a rocket motor on the back of the space station.
My name is Aaron Smith, and I go to Orleans Elementary School in Orleans, Vermont. My question is, what is the temperature at the International Space Station?
Inside here, it's just like it is at school for you. It's room temperature, very comfortable. We're just working out here in shirt sleeves. But when we go outside on our spacewalks, the temperatures can vary plus or minus 200 degrees, depending on whether the sun's up or it's dark outside.
Hi, my name is Jackson. I am a 6th grader at Hobgood Elementary in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. My question is, what is one of the worst and best effects of being in a microgravity environment?
For someone like me, it's very nice to be able to float. That's probably the best effect. You get to hang around and float, and you can become an expert gymnast in seconds. You can do all sorts of things you can't do on the ground. One of the long-term problems with being in this environment, however, is bone loss, muscle deconditioning, and over time we're starting to learn how to deal with that on board. Tracy here works out several hours a day trying to stay strong, so when she gets home in 6 months, she can adapt very quickly.
My name is Sammy, and I am a senior at Wendover High School. My question is, how do you feel about flying on the last space shuttle mission of Atlantis?
Well, we're not exactly sure that this is, in fact, the last space shuttle flight of Atlantis. If it is, though, we all consider it just as important as any of the other flights. This was the 32nd flight, 32nd time that Atlantis has launched into space and flown around the Earth many, many times. So we're just another crew to be lucky enough to be part of that program. And if it's the last flight, then it's truly an honor.
My name is Charles, and I go to John B. Cary in Richmond, Virginia. My question is, did you like training to be an astronaut?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. Actually, training to be an astronaut is a lot of fun. We get to fly airplanes around, work in the simulator, and go to class. All the things that you would learn in school. We've been training, the STS-132 crew's been training about 8 months, so just about a school year getting ready for this mission, but it's all a whole lot of fun.
My name is Sarina Anderson, and I go to Cumberland Middle School in Cumberland, Wisconsin. My question is, when you go up into space, like how much pressure is it and how does it feel?
Right, so here on the space station, the atmospheric pressure in here is just like sea level, 14.7 psi. As far as like during launch, we feel a lot of forces, acceleration as we're going up in the space shuttle, up to 3 times our normal body weight. So it feels like there's 3 of your friends standing on your chest as you're launching into space, and sometimes it's a little bit of work just to raise your chest up to get some air into your lungs. But after a couple days here on station, you really adapt to all this, and I feel great right now.
Hi, my name is Megan, and I'm from Warren G. Harding Middle School in Des Moines, Iowa. And my question is how long does it take for water to evaporate in space?
Now, this is a tricky question. How long does it take for water to evaporate in space? If you put some water out into space, if you're on the night side of the Earth, it'll just freeze solid in, like a rock-hard iceberg immediately. If you're on the sun side, it'll flash and boil almost immediately, and you'll just get water vapor. And sometimes there's some places where the water doesn't know whether to freeze or boil, and it kind of does both at the same time. And it's very weird looking.
My name is Charles Wallace, and I go to Conyers Middle School in Conyers, Georgia. I would like to know, are there any concerns about the closure of the space shuttle missions?
Well, the end of the space shuttle program is essentially inevitable, and that is because the space shuttle can't travel outside of low Earth orbit. And if we as humans want to explore deeper into the universe, it's starting with maybe the moon, moving on to asteroids and Mars, the space shuttle is not the machine that can do it. So we simply don't have enough money to continue to operate the space shuttle and develop a whole new spacecraft that can go beyond low Earth orbit. So it's a decision of national will. You know, if we want to explore the universe, we've got to stop flying the space shuttle. And it's a simple reality. Good question.
My name is William.
in first grade in Forest Lake Elementary in Columbia, South Carolina. My question is, why isn't there much gravity on the moon?
Hey, William. Thanks for asking that question. It's a good one. The reason that there's not as much, you don't feel as much gravity on the moon is because it's smaller than the Earth. The amount of gravity that a given planet, or anything for that matter, pulls on everything else is related to how big it is, how much mass it has. So the moon has a lot less mass than the Earth, so there's less gravity. And if you go to Jupiter, which has got a lot more mass than the Earth, then you'd feel a lot of gravity, and you'd feel really, really heavy. So that's why.
Hi, my name is Michelle. I'm a junior at Wendover High. My question is, what is it like seeing a sunset or sunrise every 45 minutes?
It's because of well, I'm starting to answer the question. No, because you get to go around the Earth every 90 minutes or so, you naturally see a sunset and a sunrise every 90 minutes, and it's really amazing because you get to watch, you know, the Earth below you both at night and during the day in just an hour and a half, which is really, really exciting. The problem becomes when you're trying to go to sleep, for some people, because you actually have to shut the windows and seal yourself off inside and turn out the lights, because otherwise you'd have the light coming through the windows every 45 minutes, and that might keep some people awake.
What about you?
Oh, outside. Oh, going outside is EVA. That's a lot more fun because you're not constrained by the windows, and you have the opportunity to look down and see the Earth pass below your feet in darkness and in light, and it's amazing what you can see at night. Not on this mission, on a previous mission I saw a meteorite pass below me into the atmosphere and glow, and that was pretty amazing. Lightning storms, the aurora we saw the other day, all sorts of amazing things you get to see outside at night that you don't necessarily think of. You just think of the darkness. So.
Let me just add something to that real quick. The other interesting thing about sunrises and sunsets up here, though, is that they happen really fast. So it's not like at home when you're sitting on the beach and just enjoying the sunset, go down into the ocean very slowly. Here it just happens so fast because we're traveling around the world so fast. So you're out there and you're looking at the sun, and it's bright, 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 dark. It just it happens that quick.
Hi, my name is Sarina. I'm a 4th grader in Harlingen, Texas. In comparison to plant life on Earth, do the plants grown on the International Space Station grow at the same rate?
Selena, that's a really mature question, and you're ahead of your time. The space station science on board here really is looking at that very question itself. We're looking at Arabidopsis seeds and trying to understand, because we see that the roots grow in a different way here on orbit with the lack of gravity than they do on Earth. And we're hoping that that will help us to understand plant growth on Earth a little better. So I can tell you that they do grow a little differently, but how? That's something that we're studying right now. And it's kind of interesting to see plants growing up here in the space station. Good question.
My name is Jackie Black, and I go to Arapahoe Middle School in Arapahoe, Wyoming. My question is, do you take any medication for the function of your bone marrow?
Actually, I'd have to say no. We don't take any medications that I know of, but we are trying to understand better how to preserve bone mass up here on orbit for long duration. And so one of the ways that we counteract the effect of gravity or the lack of gravity here on orbit is to do exercise. We find that the more exercise we do before we launch into space, as well as while we're on orbit, helps to maintain our bone mass, which is extremely important. And we're trying to study that right now to see how much we need to do and for how frequent we need to do that in order to maintain and possibly even grow stronger bones on orbit. And that'll also help us to understand our own bone growth back at home on Earth. Great questions, you guys.
Atlantis ISS, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes the event.
Thank you, Atlanta Station and NASA Explorer Schools. Atlanta Station, we're now resuming operational audio communications.
There is the very southern tip of Ireland coming into view. Here soon you will see parts of England, and then in a few seconds you'll see the very western edge of France. The station's cameras had been pointed toward the north since this particular part of the orbit was taking the station and the shuttle fairly close within the vicinity of where that Icelandic volcano ash cloud has been impacting the atmosphere. Of course, it's a very cloudy day right now over the Atlantic, so it's a bit hard to tell what are clouds and what is ash. But while the station and the shuttle continue to orbit, the crews on board enjoying some off-duty time. They've fairly much wrapped up their activities for today.